Imagine you have a stick. A very, very long stick. It is almost as tall as you are, maybe even taller. Now imagine you have to get into a tiny car, like a Honda Civic, while holding this stick. And you can't put it on the roof. And you have 3 other big friends in the car with you. It's impossible, right? You'd be poking the driver in the ear or smashing the back window. Now imagine that stick isn't just a stick. It is a deadly, high-precision rifle that weighs as much as a medium-sized dog. This was the problem Russian soldiers faced in the 1990s. They needed a gun big enough to stop a truck, but small enough to fit inside their cramped armor transporters. The Americans solved this problem by taking their gun apart. But the Russians? They did something much cleverer. They built a transformer. They built a gun that folds in half. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today we are looking at the OSV-96. In Russia, they call it the Vzlomshik. That translates to the Burglar or the Lockpick. Why? Because when this gun knocks on the door doesn't just open, it ceases to exist. We're going to look at why this metal monster exists, how it snaps in half like a shotgun, and thanks to our friends at World of Guns, Gun Disassembly, we're going to peel back the metal skin and look at the skeleton of this beast to see exactly how it ticks. To understand this gun, you have to understand the world it was born into. Picture the early 1990s. The Soviet Union, that massive superpower, had just collapsed. Russia was in chaos. The economy was broken. And on the edges of the country, wars were starting. The biggest and scariest of these was in a place called Chechnya. The fighting there wasn't out in open fields. It was in cities. Imagine a city full of tall concrete apartment buildings, like big gray shoeboxes standing on end. The enemy fighters were smart. They would hide deep inside these concrete buildings, behind thick brick walls, or way up on the 10th floor. The Russian soldiers had their standard sniper rifle, the SVD. It's a classic gun, reliable and tough. But it shoots a standard bullet. Against a fighter wearing body armor or hiding behind a double layer of bricks 800 meters away, the SVD was like throwing pebbles. It just didn't have the punch. The Russian commanders realized they had a serious problem. They needed something that could punch through a brick wall and take out the bad guy hiding behind it. They needed something that could stop a suicide truck filled with explosives before it got too close. They didn't need a sniper rifle. They needed a portable cannon. So, they went to a place called Tula. Tula is a city south of Moscow, and for centuries, it has been the blacksmith of Russia. If you need a sword, a cannon, or a missile, you go to Tula. Specifically, they went to the KBP Instrument Design Bureau. These are the guys who build autocannons for fighter jets. The head designer, a brilliant man named Arkady Shipyanov, looked at the problem. He knew they needed a big bullet. A really big bullet. Let's talk about the bullet for a second. Most army rifles shoot a bullet that is about the size of the top joint of your pinky finger. It weighs about 4 grams. The OSV-96 shoots a bullet called the 12.7 by 108 millimeters. To help you visualize this, imagine a large carrot. A really thick, angry metal carrot. This bullet was originally designed in the 1930s for heavy machine guns, the kind you bolt onto the top of a tank to shoot down airplanes. It is massive. When a normal rifle bullet hits you, it's like being stabbed with an ice pick. When this 12.7 millimeters bullet hits something, it carries about 18,000 joules of energy. What is a joule? Think of it this way. A normal AK-47 bullet has about 2,000 joules. So, getting hit by the OSV-96 is not twice as bad as an AK-47. It's roughly 9 times as powerful. If you shoot a brick wall with this, it doesn't just make a hole. It blasts a chunk of the wall out the other side. If you shoot a truck engine, it cracks the metal block and kills the car instantly. That is why they call it an anti-material rifle. It's not just for people, it's for destroying stuff, radar dishes, parked helicopters, and light armored vehicles. But here's the catch. To shoot a bullet that big, you need a barrel that is very, very long. If the barrel is too short, all that gunpowder doesn't have time to burn, and you lose power. So, Shipyanov designed a barrel that was 1 meter long. Just the barrel. When you add the trigger, the stock, and the muzzle brake, the whole gun ends up being 1.75 meters long. That is 5 feet 9 inches. I am barely taller than this gun. And that brings us back to our first problem. How do you fit a 6-foot gun into a car? This is the coolest part of the OSV-96, and we're going to use the world of guns. Gun disassembly game to see how it works, because looking inside is better than just guessing. Most guns are a solid piece of metal from front to back. If you want to make them shorter, maybe you fold the stock, the part that touches your shoulder. But even if you do that, you still have this massive long barrel sticking out. The OSV-96 does something crazy. It has a hinge right in the middle, right where the barrel meets the trigger section. Here is how you fold it step by step. Safety first. In the game, you can see the user pull the bolt back and lock it open. You have to make sure the gun is empty. The latch. There is a big, chunky lock on the left side of the gun. You pull that latch. The fold. The entire front half of the gun, the heavy barrel, the muzzle brake, the gas tube, swings to the right. It folds all the way back until the muzzle is touching the stock. Suddenly, your 1.7 meter giant shrinks down to 1.1 meters. It's still big, but now it fits in the trunk. It fits on the back seat. You can carry it up a stairwell without banging it on every doorway. In World of Guns, you can actually see the X-ray view of this joint. When the gun is unfolded and locked straight, the back of the barrel actually overlaps with the receiver. This is important because it creates a tight seal so the explosion doesn't blow up in your face. It's a very clever, very Russian piece of engineering, simple, rugged, and effective. Now, how does it shoot? This is a semi-automatic rifle. That means you pull the trigger, it goes boom, and it automatically loads the next bullet. You don't have to work a handle like a bolt-action hunting rifle. It uses a gas system. Imagine a little tube running along the top of the barrel. When the bullet flies down the barrel, some of the hot gas behind it takes a shortcut through a tiny hole. It rushes into that tube and pushes a piston backward. In the X-ray mode of the game, you can see this piston slam back. It kicks the bolt open, throws out the empty shell casing, and grabs a new cartridge from the 5-round magazine. This matters because if you miss your first shot, you can immediately pull the trigger again. Bang, bang, bang. In a war zone, that speed can save your life. So, what is it like to actually shoot this thing? Physics has a law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. If you send a big, heavy bullet flying forward at 900 meters per second, the gun wants to fly backward into your shoulder with the same force. Without any help, shooting this gun would probably break your collarbone. To save the shooter's shoulder, the designers put a massive muzzle brake on the front. Look at the tip of the barrel. You see that big metal box with the slots in it? That is the muzzle brake. When the bullet leaves the gun, the exploding gas hits those metal slots and is forced to blow sideways and backwards. It's like a reverse rocket engine. The gas pushes the gun forward, fighting the recoil. Users who have fired it say the recoil is heavy, but manageable. It feels like shooting a big shotgun. But there is a price to pay: the noise. Because all that gas is being directed sideways, if you are standing next to the shooter, you are going to have a bad day. The blast wave can give you a concussion. It kicks up a huge cloud of dust. It is loud enough to make your teeth rattle. You absolutely need to wear double ear protection, plugs in your ears, and earmuffs over them. You can't talk about this gun without mentioning its famous American cousin, the Barrett M82. You know the one. It's in every video game and movie. They both do the same job. They both shoot big .50 caliber bullets. They are both semi-automatic, but they work very differently. The movement, the Barrett, is recoil operated. When you shoot a Barrett, the entire barrel actually slides backward into the gun to absorb the shock. It's like a cannon on springs. The OSV-96 is gas operated. Its barrel stays still mostly, and only the internal piston moves. The size. The Barrett is shorter when you are shooting it. But you can't fold a Barrett. If you want to make a Barrett smaller for transport, you have to pull 2 pins and take the gun apart into 2 pieces. That's fine in a workshop, but if you are in a muddy field in the rain, you don't want to be taking your gun apart. The OSV-96 just folds. Click-clack. Done. Accuracy. Generally, A gun with a fixed barrel, like the OSV-96, should be more accurate than a gun with a moving barrel, like the Barrett. However, the OSV-96 has a weird quirk. The bipod, the little legs it stands on, hangs right off the barrel. This puts stress on the barrel and can hurt accuracy. So, while it's accurate enough to hit a man at 1,500 meters, it's not going to win Olympic medals for precision. The OSV-96 isn't just a prototype. It has seen real combat. It was officially adopted in the year 2000. It is used by the Russian FSB, the successor to the KGB, and the Interior Ministry troops. We have seen it in the Syrian civil war. There are videos of snipers using it to shoot through the small murder holes insurgents make in walls. The ability to punch through cover makes it terrifying. You can't just hide behind a cinder block wall and feel safe. The burglar will find you. It's also made in Vietnam under a license, where they call it the SBT-12M1. It seems the idea of a giant folding sniper rifle is popular in the jungle too. So, what is the verdict on the OSV-96? Is it the most refined gun in the world? No. The finish is a bit rough. The plastic stock feels a bit cheap. The ergonomics are essentially hold on tight and hope for the best. It doesn't have the high-tech polish of a modern Western sniper rifle. But it wasn't designed to be pretty. It was designed to be a tool for a very specific job, to be carried in the back of a small car, unfolded in seconds, and then punch a hole through a truck engine a mile away. It is a piece of pragmatic, brutal engineering. It solves the problem of how do I carry a cannon in the most Russian way possible. Just fold it in half. If you want to see exactly how all those little springs and levers work inside, I highly recommend checking out World of Guns. Gun Disassembly. It's the only way to really appreciate the genius of that folding hinge without having to join the Russian Spetsnaz. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this look at the Burglar, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Would you rather carry this 1.7 meter giant or take your chances with a normal rifle? See you next time.